This is a video response to Venom Fang X's video, Why I'm Not an Atheist. Now, I usually find that when I watch his videos I become annoyed quite quickly, because he has a very annoying kind of smarmy attitude, and this kind of general air of smugness about him, which is fairly tedious. However, what I want to do in this video is to kind of analyse his character, because in the video he talked a little bit about his own history and the kind of factors which contributed towards his Christianity. And what I've gleaned from this video is actually an interesting case which is based around language and societal structures, which I think is the real reason why he's become a Christian. Now, I need to refer to my notes a bit in this, because he said quite a few things which I want to quote to start with. So, yeah, to start with, he kind of explains his name, Venom Fang X, is based on some kind of cartoon comic hero, and yeah, Venom, which was apparently this kind of redeemed hero, a guy who used to be bad and then became good. That's a kind of important point to stand by to start with. Okay, yeah, he says basically he was an atheist from kind of the age of 7, and he went to a Jewish school. What's it called? Hebrew school. And he said he used to preach atheism to the other children at the school. And he says, I was kicked out of Hebrew school for preaching that we came from monkeys. Now, this is interesting. I mean, what we see here is he's going against the norm. In his situation, there is a school which teaches the Jewish beliefs and whatever else in their scriptures, and he decided to go against that. And in later life, this is setting a kind of precedent, because he's going against the majority. He's now a creationist Christian, which is kind of someone who's going against the huge bulk of evolutionary people, and we can see a pattern here. However, what I would kind of reason is that this rejection kind of instilled in him a longing to once more be accepted into the fold of Christianity. And so, because Christianity is a kind of progression of Judaism, in a sense this is a kind of reconciliation and revenge on the Jews for their chucking him out of their fold, as it were. Okay, yeah, and he says, being an atheist is so easy. It is so easy. And I think he's quite right about this, really, because there's a whole kind of plethora of evidence which one can draw upon to support atheism, and really it's no challenge. So, you know, anyone can realistically be an atheist if they want to. However, religion nowadays is kind of harder to intellectually justify, and for him that's a challenge. And he's not an unintelligent person, so this is something which he really wants to kind of grasp hold of. And if he can kind of win this challenge and kind of reinstate Christianity, that actually puts him in a high position, in fact, over and above the Jews, because if he confronted the Jews which had thrown him out of Hebrew school on an atheist level, and, you know, kind of disproved Judaism, then he would still not really have gained anything, and he would still be kind of out of their fold. But by being a Christian, and that progression from Judaism to Christianity, he therefore kind of he places himself on a kind of higher level, but in their field of religion, as it were. He also says, atheism is a party. You party and you party and you party, and then the party ends. You realise that the party has no substance to it. Venom Fang is using the party as a metaphor for being atheist, and then when the party ends, he says you kind of grow up and go into family and have some children and settle down, and that's essentially equivalent to kind of accepting God and reason and rationality and law, whatever. In fact, he says, as you get older, atheism loses its appeal, because the structure, the meaning and the purpose you kind of need is not there. But he says he didn't turn to God for just to seek meaning, because it's much more fun to party. Well, is that really true? I mean, in logic we call this contradiction introduction. He's just said to, you know, opposing things there. And I think he's right, you know. People do seek structure and organisation in their lives because we're part of an ordered society. Sean cites the example of the Amazing Atheist on YouTube as kind of the paradigm of atheist behaviour. He says, you get to swear, and then it's total and absolute freedom. But this is where he's wrong, because, I mean, he and we, and of course the Amazing Atheist as well, are absolutely bound by societal rules and norms, and otherwise you just kind of get eschewed and kicked out of society. You just won't survive, you know. Everyone has to obey the societal rules, otherwise it just falls apart. And the fact that he doesn't realise this is just incredible, really. Okay, so anyway, he then quotes Nietzsche, or an approximation, I don't actually know if this is right. He says, "We are horrifically free." But I contend that it was actually this meaningless that was horrific to him as a kind of pedagogue, because from his very early age he's been someone who wants to preach, and having meaningless suddenly means he has nothing to kind of convey to people, no convincing argument. Christianity is a rock upon which you can preach to people because you are telling them something objectively, from an objective point of view. Atheism doesn't allow for that, and it doesn't have so much kind of rhetoric behind it, because it's really just a kind of assumption from facts, and Christianity is completely faith-based, which is really ironic considering his latest video, which is all about how evolution is not a proper science because it's incapable of falsification. Well, could you not say the same about Christianity? He wants to confine others into his world of meaning, which he has created and is sustaining, and by doing that it symbolically places him as top dog of that. Okay, so he then says, "As an evolutionist, I figured that religion evolved as well." And I think this is a sound judgment. Okay, so why would you turn from that? And as I've already said, because it's too easy. It fits and makes sense, but it's boring.